Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. You are tuned into another great episode of the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. I want to say good morning to CEO DJ Mr. Daryl Johnson and Miss Tampa Bay Tammy this morning for being the huge owners of such a prestigious internet radio program, In Touch News Radio, print media also. You can pick up a free copy of the news paper every way across the Tampa Bay area. Become a subscriber to the YouTube channel on www.youtube.com. And when you go into the little search window, type in the letter N. See this logo in the back of me? That's what it looks like. See that beautiful logo? So you're going to type in the letter N, Touch News, and become a subscriber. And make sure that you subscribe to all of the programs. There are weekly programs Monday through Saturday with the Gospel Hour, the Gospel Power Hour on every Sunday. We have so much to talk about on this weekend, bringing you all the weekend news with Dr. Michelle. But we getting ready to get into it. You all know when Governor Ron DeSantis, he terminated, fired, said, adios, pack your suitcase, you out of here, to the Hillsborough County State Attorney Andrew Warren. Okay, so the Florida Supreme Court rules against the suspended Hillsborough County State Attorney Andrew Warren, alleging a delay, even though the courts found that Ron DeSantis was guilty and he had no right to terminate him. They had to throw the case out because of a technicality. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm real smart, y'all. And I may not be the sharpest crayon in the Crayola box, but let me tell you something. I'm definitely not the dullest when it comes to knowing what's going on and putting two and two together. These two people, there's something going on there. There is something going on there, because there is no way that Andrew Warren would have forgotten to turn in a paperwork, a form, his lawyer, and have this whole case that made news around the country be dismissed on a technicality. But we're going to get into it because the news report that I have, they broke it all the way down. Tampa, Florida, WFLA News Channel 8 reported this. The Florida Supreme Court ruled 6-1 against suspended Hillsborough County State Attorney Andrew Warren in his attempt to be reinstated. The court denied Warren's petition due to unreasonable delay, according to the order, which was issued on Thursday. The court cited and said that Warren waited nearly 5 months after the federal court dismissed his lawsuit on the grounds that the matter had to be resolved in state court before he filed the petition in state court. Warren offers no explanation for the delay. The document reads, "We conclude that under circumstances of this case, the time for our review has passed." In a statement, Warren and his attorney wrote that they are disappointed by the ruling. "This is an issue that is crucial for democracy in Florida," Warren said. Rather than addressing the substance of the governor's illegal action, the court cited a technicality and avoided a ruling on the merits of the case. "We are extremely disappointed by today's decision. We are deeply disappointed that the Florida Supreme Court refused to elevate the merits of Mr. Warren's illegal suspension and instead ruled against him on a procedural ground," Warren's attorney Jean-Jacques Cabou said. "As those grounds, we share Justice Laboria's view that the majority was wrong to avoid the merits of Warren's challenge. The suspension happened on August the 4th at the news conference in Hillsborough County. There, DeSantis and Warren had blanket policies not to prosecute certain crimes, including abortion, transgender health care, and low-level misdemeanors. Andrew Warren has put himself publicly above the law," DeSantis said at an event. But in the 59-page order Judge Hinkle wrote, the allegation was false. The judge said he found in every case by every prosecutor discretion was used, and added that DeSantis broke federal law, namely the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The judge also found that Warren was suspended in part of his stance on abortion, which is protected speech, but said Warren's conduct didn't rise to the level of incompetence or neglect. So DeSantis' actions violated Florida Constitution's rights also. However, the judge said he did not have the authority to reinstate him. After the ruling, he made a direct appeal to DeSantis to give him his job back. In a letter to the governor, Warren said the court gave the other party enough time to prove that he did something wrong or was unable to perform his job duties. He noted that the judge's order epically stated that he had in fact performed his duties without a hint of misconduct and that his suspension had violated the law. So let me tell you all, remember I told you I may not be the smartest crayon in the box, but I sure am not the dullest in the Crayola box. The reason why these 6 judges did not go against the governor, because they were all appointed by the governor to the Florida Supreme Court. So you ain't gonna, we have a saying in the streets, you ain't gonna boo-boo where you lay at. you not gonna do it. You're not going to do it. So 6, but I do want to say this. I am so happy that the one Florida Supreme Court judge that stood on the side of right, that he did the right thing by standing up for a former terminated, debunked Hillsborough County State Attorney Andrew Warren. He stood on the right side of justice. And I'm just wondering if will there be any type of federal appeals regarding this, or will Andrew Warren have higher aspirations? Word on the wire is that he may be thinking about running for governor. So we just have to wait and see. Let me tell you all something. There's a case down in Miami-Dade County that struck my attention about a young black man named Jamal Demons, who better known as a Florida rapper YNW Melly. And he is a brilliant mind when it comes to the law, because in this article, it cites that he challenged the prosecutor inside the courtroom and won when his lawyer was sitting next to him. Apparently, there is a mass snitch. The courts allowed a white man to put on a ski mask and come into the court and snitch against him. But the law across the country says that every defendant has a right to face their accusers, not a masked person that comes into a courtroom with a mask on. So kudos to this young rapper who stood up for justice and who stood up for himself, that says, no, you're going to take that ski mask off and you're going to do it now and you're going to face me. And the white man is he's citing, his life has been threatened by gang members. So the judge said, prove it. Where are the phone calls? Where are the emails? Where are the text messages? When did this do? What areas were you in? So we can get the pinging of the telecommunication, which means the cell phone towers. We want to see where all this information is coming in from that you are alleging. And guess what? It goes on further to show that the white man who had on the ski mask, he was a police officer for the Miami-Dade County. Oh, no! You had enough calls to come in that courtroom. You're going to take that ski mask off. So kudos to this young rapper for standing up for justice, because this is what I'm finding, that a lot of these young men, they have been studying the law. And that's what I just asked them. If you're going to be out on the streets, at least know how to defend yourselves. Because the same laws that are on the book to defend white people, these have to be the same laws to defend everyone, regardless of race, color, creed, or nationality. And this is where we have to stop. But I want you all to know what we are facing in the state of Florida. We are facing not only economic crisis, we are facing a huge outbreak of racism. There are sheriffs across the state of Florida who have voiced their opinions and who have become vastly concerned regarding this permitless carry law that comes in effect on July 1st. I'm not talking about ordinary people. I'm talking about sheriffs who got a lot of stars and stripes on their shirts and drive fancy vehicles throughout the state of Florida that's, going against the grain now. Governor Ron DeSantis saying, look, you have started something in a very, very heat climatic state, the state of Florida, where lynching was #1 in the country. A lot of people don't understand that Palmetto, Florida had the most cases of lynching in the history of lynching of blacks and black slaves in America, right here in Florida. Palmetto, Florida. The reason why back in the days you couldn't catch people fishing in the Alafia River is because that's where they fed a lot of babies and body parts that they had dismantled and dismembered on slaves. They fed them to the gators in the Alafia River. That's why a lot of black people don't even go fishing in the Alafia River. See, when back in 2008, when Marion Lambert, God rest the racist soul, when he put up that huge Confederate flag in the I-475 corridor, I started doing some research. And it was Marion Lambert that told me that Palmetto, Florida, he gave me documentation. Like, why are you turning this over to me and I'm fighting against you? And he was just like, well, you know how when you start calling out one racist, they want to put all the races on Front Street. So maybe that's what it was, because he gave me a lot of information that has been held to my breastplate and secured in a safe deposit box in an undisclosed location, that I will never forget the history of the state of Florida. And a lot of you all don't even understand and realize that the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office was founded by the Ku Klux Klan. Boom. Boom. I told y'all, it's a couple people that you can't fool, and Dr. Michelle Williams is one of them. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office was founded by the Ku Klux Klan. You can't fool me. And let me tell you something. I know the devil don't work overtime. He works all the time, but you got to be faster than the devil to get one up on Michelle Williams. I'm telling you that because I'm a researcher, and sometimes I go down rabbit holes that I sometimes have a hard time trying to get myself back up because the research that I do. When I'm on something, I'm on to something. But we have to start having this conversation, and we need to have this conversation abruptly with our community, and we need to have it with our children, because we have already embarked on a long hot summer. I mean, if you look at the temperatures for the rest of this month, I'm talking about 97 to it's going to be 100 degrees on the day that we feed the homeless. So instead of doing it in the middle of the day on June the 30th, I decided that we're going to feed them dinner where we'll be in the cool of the eve. So we're going to feed. So on June the 30th, everyone, instead of feeding the homeless at the normal set time at 1 p.m., on June 30th, we're going to be feeding them at 6 p.m. We're going to be breaking bread with them, feeding them dinner on June the 30th, the homeless. And if you check out my Facebook flyer, it's on my Facebook page. I'm going to be reposting it on all of my social media outlets. So we're looking for donations. So if you got some clothes and you're a hoarder, clean out your closet. Please clean out your closet, because they need clothes. And I'm not just giving them things that they don't want. I'm actually asking the homeless what they need, because they're the ones that's out there on the streets living homeless. So it's my duty to find out what they need. And what they need, they said they need more hygiene products, which are on the way. Thank God for Amazon.com. And I thank you. I just have to say, I have a young man who works for the United States Post Office all the way up in Chicago, Illinois, sent me a $200 donation, and I blew Amazon up, and they were just so I got the toilet paper, I got the shavers, I got the body wipes. So I just ran that $200 up. I may have to put $8 more with it, but I ran it up. I ran it up. Guys, I just want to say thank you again for tuning in this Saturday to the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. We're going to take a brief commercial break to pay some advertising bills around here, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man. Call Ricky.
Kick on Ricky, he coming. He taking kids state of Florida. Grab a pin of sundown. 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-7425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. Is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. We're returning back from our first commercial break on the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. And I want to say thank you, kudos to the community, my Facebook family, friends, and followers on TikTok, also on Instagram, for following me every Saturday morning on this radio program. And I want to give a shout out to all of the other radio reality stars here on In Touch News Radio and News Media. I want to say thank you all for your efforts on keeping the community abreast to the things that are happening in the Tampa Bay area. So we're going to jump on over to Manatee County, because y'all know Manatee County, Florida, is a skip, hop, and a stone's throw from Hillsborough County. So there is a DUI charge was dropped against the Manatee County Commissioner, George Kearse. So Mr. George said that the tree jumped out in front of him and he shouldn't be charged with a DUI. And guess what the court did? The judge threw it out. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. Manatee County County Commissioner George Kearse was involved in a single vehicle wreck in April 2022 when his pickup truck crashed head-on into a tree at the Greyhawk subdivision in Bradenton. When deputies arrived, Kearse was seated. He moved himself out the driver's seat and put himself in the passenger seat. He was in the rear passenger seat of his wife's vehicle in an overall confused state, and the incident report stated and noted. Deputies said that Kearse had watery eyes, slurred vision, cursed a little bit, clammy wet skin, and droopy eyelids. A day after the crash, deputies then reviewed the 911 call that was automatically initiated from the truck. See, people don't understand these vehicles have automatic call 911 if so much damage has been done to your vehicle. So the truck called. So his wife truck snitched on him. His wife truck snitched on him because that's just how much damage. You can pull the Google article up. Go on Google and Google Manatee County Commissioner DUI, and you will see the truck. And that truck had to split in two. The truck had to split in two. But so the deputy said that the call that picked up the voice of a man in the SUV sounded intoxicated and was singing to himself. So, I mean, look, it's sad, but it's funny that how, they're not going to charge him. But this is one comment. I got to read this comment because I've been following this lady that makes these comments because she's on everything, and I can say her name because she did it on a public website. So Ms. Erica Hall, who lives in Manatee County, said this commissioner gets off without jail or even being charged because who he is. In Manatee County, if you don't know someone, you can't even pass gas without going to jail. This is the problem with our county. It starts at the top, President of the United States, all the way down to county commissioners. I hope Governor Ron DeSantis takes a look at this. But wait, no, he won't. I'm so sick. I'm so sick. No one in office is ever held accountable for nothing. But me and you will go to jail for a long time. So sad this country has headed in the direction that it is. Or should I say, what an embarrassment that this country has become. So these are the things that we have going on in the state of Florida. And I know it's happening throughout the United States, but Florida is my backyard. Florida is a place that I have called home. And it's sad that we're being led by racists and by people who are stirring up, I call it the cauldron melting pot of racism fever. And I said this the other week before last week I had to take and I want to say thank you all for your sympathy and your condolences on the loss of my great auntie. Thank you all so much for being there for me. And then just finding out on Thursday evening, my pop notified me that my cousin, some of you all know in the Tampa Bay area, he's one of my older cousins, Reverend Clifford Tyson Jr. He's received his wings and he's now an ancestor with us. And so many of you know him after I put his picture up on Facebook. And once the family makes the funeral arrangements, I'll be adding that on to my Facebook account for you all to come and support the family. I just want to say thank you all again for your condolences. But getting back into the weekend news, I reached out to a law firm that's up in Tallahassee, Florida, and they have great concern regarding this. And a lot of people who have misconception of them being able to carry without a permit. You still have to go through the rest of the aesthetics of the law, but people don't hear that. All they hear is the governor say I can carry a gun now as long as I'm 21 years old and I don't have any charges. I'm not going to be able to get into all of this, but what I'll do a 2-part segment of this as we continue this. So part 1 of the segment of the permitless carry law, that it will go into effect on July the 1st, 2023 in the state of Florida. Permitless carry finally comes to Florida. On April the 3rd, 2023, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 543 into law with an effective start date of July 1, 2023. With this amendment to Florida Statute 790.01, Florida has become the 26th state to allow permitless carry. While this is not the same as the full constitutional carry as it exists in states which allow open carry, it is still a massive step forward in the battle for gun rights in the state of Florida. So if Florida's new permitless law does not allow open carry, what exactly are the effects? This article will explain exactly what the actual effects of this new law are, and will also provide some insight on carrying under the new law. If you can also see the full text of the bill here, and I'm going to place the link that the attorney sent to me so you all can follow his blog. And if you have questions, I see in the blog he's taking questions. You know, I want you all to be safe. I do support the right to own and possess a gun. So let me get that straight. I am a huge supporter of the NRA. I believe in the Second Amendment right. But I consciously say, if you want to carry a gun and you want to be a gun owner, be a sensible gun owner and know how to operate that firearm, because that is definitely a deadly piece of machinery. Qualifications to carry a weapon under the new permitless law for the state of Florida that will go into effect July 1st, 2023. As explained above, the new permitless carry law does nothing to permit the open carry of firearms. So you can't walk around in the state of Florida with your shirt on, with a holster with your gun showing. It still has to be concealed. Your gun still has to be concealed. You still have to have on some form of a jacket or something covering that, because we are not in a Florida. Let me repeat this. Florida is not an open carry state, okay? The exact same exceptions of Florida's ban on open and carry still apply, and he has everything broken down in the link that I'm going to send you all. Instead, this new law allows people in Florida to carry a firearm or other lawful weapon concealed while in the public without first getting a concealed weapons license. And that's what it says, that if you are over the age of 21 and you don't have felonies, listen, you do not have felonies, you qualify to carry this gun, but you have to go through the rest of the aesthetics of carrying this gun. You just can't go and purchase no gun and say, the governor say, I don't need a permit to carry this gun.
So let me ask the question. I have a license to carry a concealed weapon. Do I need to renew that license, or this new law eliminates that license?
In this article, CEO DJ Gerald, he says yes, if renew and still have it on your person. And he actually says, especially if you are an African American. And it's sad that he even had to put that blanket of a quote inside of this article. But there is concerns that black people who qualify under this new permitless law for the state of Florida will not have the same treatment under the law as white Americans. And we all know exactly why Governor Ron DeSantis did this. He stirred a fever to gain the momentum of people who supported Trump, but it apparently is backfiring because he's losing donors out this world because even his donors don't agree with some of the things that he just did. So let me see where I left off at. Okay. Instead of this new law allows people in the state of Florida to carry a firearm or other lawful concealed weapons while in the public without first getting a concealed weapons license. Previously in Florida, anyone who wanted to carry a firearm in public was required to attain a concealed weapon and firearm license, a CWFL, through the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, FDACS. It is important to note that the new law applies to carrying both a firearm and other lawful weapons, which previously required a concealed weapons license in the state of Florida. Carrying a concealed firearm in public without a license could result in a felony charge under the prior law. Again, you see he finna break it down. Be careful. This new law will allow the carry of a firearm without a license. You don't need a license to carry the gun, but there's still other things that you have to do to ensure that you protect yourself. Remember, it's all a setup. I don't care what anybody say. You have to understand there's a bigger picture, and I told you all to pay attention to what's not being disclosed. There is a new prison that has just been built across the street from the Federal Men's Coleman Prison. That is a privatized prison, and guess what? They've already been promised almost 2,800 bodies to come and fill that prison.
Are they closing Coleman?
No. They are even expanding and adding on to the females' federal prison here in the state of Florida. I told you all, everything, just because it glitters, that don't means it's all gold and all the other aesthetics of everything. Listen, be smart when it comes to this new law. Talk to your children, because there are a lot of children in these suburban areas of town and in unincorporated Hillsborough County, where gentrification has pushed a lot of black and brown people in those areas just to be able to live. The racism is heated from the corridor of US 301 and Riverview Drive all the way down to Sun City Boulevard, going through the Brandon, going through the river, the Gibsonton, the Riverview, the Wimauma, the Ruskin area. The heat and the tensions are bad right now.
Those areas have been blackened.
Yes, and you have to understand, I was in a community meeting. I had been invited as an activist. A few people that follow me on Facebook, they invited me just to come in and listen. These white people that got up and stood basically said they can't wait to be able to defend, well, they can already defend their homes. But now I'm just afraid that any black child walking on a sidewalk, any black child walking on a sidewalk, any brown person walking on a sidewalk, I'm just afraid now the new norm is going to be, I thought he had a gun. I thought I seen a gun. Or he pointed a gun at me. This is where Governor Ron DeSantis has put the state of Florida. It's not as if we were already not catching hell, but we catching the hell. We catching the hell of the hell. Guys, be prepared. The state of Florida is on fire, and that fire was set by Governor Ron DeSantis. We'll be right back after this brief commercial break.
Stay woke. Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam All-White Party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the law office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Gotta stay woke.
Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. We are returning from our second commercial break on the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. And we're going to just jump right back into it as we are going to continue talking about the concerns that I'm having, not only myself, but other community leaders in the state of Florida regarding this new permitless carry law that Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into law that will go in effect on July 1st, 2023. This new bill will allow the carry of a firearm without a license, but it does still require you to meet certain conditions. Specifically, any person who wishes to carry without a permit must still be able to meet all the requirements to get a permit. In addition, in the criteria below, remember that a person who carries a concealed firearm is still required to have a valid form of identification with them at all times, whether they have a concealed weapons permit or not. Number 1, a person is authorized a person is authorized to carry a concealed weapon or a concealed firearm as the term is defined in Florida Statute 790.06 parentheses 1 if he or she parentheses A is licensed under 79006 or parentheses B is not licensed under the above but otherwise satisfies the criteria for receiving and maintaining such a license under the Florida Statute 790.06, which means that you still have to meet all the criteria of being able to receive a concealed weapons permit. So just bottom line, guys, don't think that you're going to try to outslick this law, because they have measures in place to go ahead and have people arrested. So the best thing for you to do is still, please, especially people who look like me, walk like me, and talk like me, black and brown people, just get your concealed weapons permit. Just get your concealed weapons permit and carry it on you at all times. Just carry it on you. Remember, you have to be 21 years old. You still have to meet the criteria of not having felonies, not having any issues with mental stability, no drug, no habitual offenders can receive. And that's what I didn't understand, because if you're a habitual traffic offender, why you can't get a gun? That's the part of the law that I didn't understand. But they blanketed that so much where it says any habitual offenders can't carry a concealed weapon. I don't understand that. So that may be something, that I'm vastly interested in that, because there's some good upholding citizens who have never committed a felony, don't even have a misdemeanor, but they just have traffic offenses. And you mean to tell me because they have they're a habitual traffic offender, they can't carry a gun? That's, I know so many habitual traffic offenses that they will cite you as maybe having some form of a lower misdemeanor or a lower felony charge, but still, that I don't like that. I'm going to really, really look in that. The penalties for the permitless carry if you do not qualify. I want you all to listen to this good. As you can see, the list still is quite expansive. However, most of these criteria can be summarized as lacking a disqualifying criminal record or mental health record. If you meet all of the conditions above, you will be able to carry a concealed weapon without getting the concealed weapons permit. If you carry a concealed weapon, non-firearm, which means like some form of a taser, you know, tasers are deadly. Tasers are deadly. But do not have a concealed weapons or meet the criteria for receiving and maintaining a concealed weapons permit in the state of Florida, then you are committing a first-degree misdemeanor, punishable up to 1 year in the county jail, subsection 3 of the Florida Statute 790.01. Makes it a third-degree felony, punishable up to 5 years in prison for anyone who carries a concealed firearm without a concealed weapons permit or meeting the criteria for receiving and maintaining a concealed weapons permit in Florida. For the most part, individuals with a concealed weapons permit do not have to worry about knowing whether or not they have to meet these requirements needed, because they have the necessary aesthetics through the Department of Agriculture as already determined that this person has been qualified and issued their concealed weapons permit. Furthermore, if a person has a concealed weapons permit and subsequently no longer qualifies to have a concealed weapons permit, the Department of Agriculture will let the concealed weapons permit holder know they are no longer qualified by sending them a notice of suspension or revocation of that person's concealed weapons permit. Now, this part right here is where I want to mark, because people have moved. The U.S. Postal Service only allows your Ford to be on file for 6 months. So if you're walking around and you're thinking that you still have your concealed weapons permit through the state of Florida, something that you've obtained prior to this new law going into effect, it behooves you to talk to family members, friends, and loved ones, even your children, to make sure that they go online to check to see whether or not their permit has been revoked. Don't get caught slipping, because there are measures with every police department across the state of Florida to scan that card to see whether or not it is in fact durable and active. And I don't want you to get caught slipping. So make sure that you check your documentations, your paperwork. I'm concerned about you just as well as the safety of your persons, your children, and your family members. Ignorance is no excuse for illegal permitless carry. If you decide to carry without a concealed weapons Florida permit, then all of the responsibility of making sure you know whether or not you are qualified falls on you. So you better be 100% certain that you have met the criteria for having and maintaining a concealed weapons permit in the state of Florida, and continue to be eligible to carry without a concealed weapons permit. Because the fact that you did not know something has disqualified you as not, because the fact that you did not know something has disqualified you as not a defense in a criminal charge. So you can't go around saying, oh, I didn't know, I just know. No, if you're going to carry, the responsibility and the burden falls on you. Because remember, it's something, he's now an attorney, but Brother Life Malcolm said something. I remember myself, and Sister Connie Burton were protesting in front of the courthouse several years ago. And something that Brother Life Malcolm, well, I should say, let me correct myself, Attorney Life Malcolm said that it's always the state of Florida versus you. Not a plaintiff, but the state of Florida, who has an open checkbook and open injustices to come against you. So remember that. You're going to always fight your state, whether or not it's the state of Florida, whether or not it's New York, whether or not it's Jersey, California, Alabama, Georgia, Connecticut. It's always the state versus you. And we already know the dirty games that the states can play. So remember that being a defendant, because you have to look at it now. Being a smart person carrying these guns, you have to look at yourself as a potential defendant now. If you knowingly unknowingly say that you didn't know something, and here it is, this lawyer now broke it down, that's not a defense in a criminal case now. Because the law says that you have to know. And this is why we're going to have this huge community forum. And I've actually had 2 churches respond back to me. And the reason why the media was just like, oh, Dr. Williams, why you want to have it in a church? Because normally people, when they're inside of a sanctuary, it calms the energy. It calms the energy. And I don't want to have to come out of character, because God got some good things going on with me. And it's because of my good character these last 5 years has been netting me some phenomenal blessings from the master, and I'm just so happy. But that's why I'm having this community forum in a church. So people don't get ugly, because I know it's going to get heated, because people are just wild and crazy these days. They're still, now, if you all don't understand what's going on, look at what just happened right here in Tampa, right down the street at the fire station, where they hung a monkey from a noose. And the chief of police and the mayor says, let them handle this internally. No, the chief of police and Mayor Jane Castor, you don't get to handle this internally. This is something that the FBI and the Department of Justice needs to be investigating, because that monkey hung by that noose was not hung by a black person. I can assure you that. But this just happened right here in Tampa, in our own backyard, that we got firefighters that are out here hanging monkeys, black monkeys, and nooses around the monkeys' necks and hanging it from the ceiling inside the firehouse. Yes, it was hung inside the firehouse right here in Tampa.
Which firehouse?
I'd rather not disclose that yet, because we setting up protests. And I don't want to give them a head start, but it is going to be announced, because we're going to do something about this. Because now it puts me in God. I say, God, correct my heart. And I don't want to ever say anything where God has to come back and chastise me. But it makes me wonder, if you have this much racial undertone inside your blood because of a black firefighter or a black fire chief, what does that say about you going to a black person home or a brown person home to save them? How speedily are you to get to that person's home and extinguish that fire? So these are my concerns. But Mayor Jane Castor, and the chief of police, they need to get out of the way, because this is an issue for the Department of Justice to handle. This is an issue for the FBI to get involved with. And I'm going to be making enough noise to gain their attention. I don't care if, sometimes, we have to look at our great ancestor, John Conyers Jr. We don't have enough activists who are ready to get into good trouble. And I think enough of you have known me that have always seen I've always gotten into good trouble when it came to my people. I've always kept my neck on the chopping board. Whether you was right or wrong, even if you was wrong, we was going to get in one of them law libraries. We was going to get with a lawyer that say the same laws that represent white people in this country need to represent this black defendant. And that's where I'm at right now. That something has to be done about that monkey, that black monkey, being hung from a noose right here in the heart of Tampa. Right in the heart of Tampa, from the ceiling inside the firehouse. Now, what does that say about that fire chief that's over that particular station? What sparked this? It's made it all over the internet. It's made it all over. I can't even begin to tell you, Mr. Johnson, how many thousands of people of the 1.1 million who follow me on TikTok tagged me into that video. It is a shame before God that we are still dealing with these type of racial undertones in this country. In this country. And now we have a governor that's spearheading it, because he's being a presidential hopeful candidate in the 2024 run to become the president of the United States, one of the highest offices in this country. We'll be right back after another brief commercial break.
Dr. Michelle Williams Show. You gotta stay woke. Stay woke.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam All-White Party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Gotta stay woke.
Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. Welcome back to the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams and CEO DJ Mr. Daryl Johnson running the board for us this weekend. So let me just read this article from ABC Action News, Tampa Bay 10. We're taking it very seriously. Tampa police investigating alleged racist behavior at a fire station. The article was updated on June 21st, 2023 at 6:33 p.m. by the author and reporter, Mr. Eric Glasser. Tampa Bay, Tampa Fire Rescue and the Tampa Bay Police Department are investigating claims of racism at one of the city's firehouses, including looking into an alleged incident involving a stuffed monkey with a noose around its neck. The allegations date back to the beginning of February and the onset of Black History Month. Firefighter Andrew Dixon, who is Black, claims he and a coworker found the stuffed animal hanging from the rafters inside Station 13 near Busch Gardens. Dixon says the internal investigation into the incident ended with those responsible claiming the monkey was a tribute to a nearby theme park. Then in mid-June, Dixon says things escalated. He claims someone left a note in his locker that showed a photo of him with the word monkey written across the forehead. Now, if this is the case, why isn't the feds handling this? This is something for the Department of Justice. I mean, don't let this incident get away from us. In a statement, the Tampa Police Department and Fire Rescue said, in part, an alleged incident of behavior unbecoming of the values of the Tampa Fire Rescue occurred at the fire station. We take these allegations extremely serious. Tampa Fire Rescue has turned the matter over to the Tampa Police Department for investigation. The Tampa Police Department Chief Lee Burklaw confirmed his department is looking into it. I have assigned my best detectives to the case, said Burkall, who were taking it very seriously. The president of the Tampa's NAACP chapter says late last week they were contacted by the firefighters union. It's still not clear whether this was going to be a topic of conversation, they said, along with the department's ongoing issue with the city public safety plan. The NAACP said they were planning on meeting early this Friday. So I think that there was a meeting that was supposed to be held on yesterday. But let me just go ahead and throw this in as an insert, and we'll get into it next week. the Department of Justice probe. They go further into the killing and murder that we all witnessed of Mr. George Floyd. The discriminatory practices in the Memphis Police Department, they are looking further regarding racist police officers inside that police department, and it was because of the death of Mr. George Floyd that has sparked this, that the Department of Justice has not to this day lifted their foot off that gas pedal. Kudos to the Department of Justice for keeping their foot on the gas pedal when it comes to that. And there needs to be an overhaul throughout the United States of these police departments, you know. And again, I say it, not all police are bad. But if you gonna stay behind that blue wall and not say anything, it makes you part of the problem. I know the blue wall of conduct prohibits you, or allegedly prohibits you, from talking about or speaking about or going against the grain. But one of my dearest friends is a fired Hillsborough County Sheriff's deputy because he turned in his body cam because there were white officers out in the town and country area who had Mexicans handcuffed and slapping them and beating them, and he turned them in, and he was fired. He was fired. Not only was he fired for turning in the body cam to Internal Affairs, into the FBI, they took away his state certification that says he can't be a police officer anymore in the state of Florida. Don't worry, I'm going to be interviewing him next month on the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. Boom! I need to get a little thing that says boom when I have good inserts. When I have them firecrackers, okay? When I have them firecrackers. So listen, this is going to be the final part of this, and then we're just going to have a little bit of idle chit-chat before we get out of here with today's program. We are just 7 minutes away. Listen. Permitless carry does not begin until July 1st. Remember, that's just, you know what I'm saying, we're just a week and a half away. We're just a week and a half away. Please keep in mind that the start date of everything explained here is July 1st, 2023. If you carry a concealed weapon without a license prior to this date, you can still be arrested for unlawful permitless carry. It is not a valid defense that the law is about to change. And that's what the lawyer says, that a lot of people have reached out to him that have gotten stopped and don't have a concealed weapons permit or license because they just like, well, the law is about to change. No, ignorance is bliss. You can't use that as an excuse. You have to wait until July 1st to be able to lawfully carry the gun without a permit. But listen, guys, it behooves you to still go and get your permit. Please, especially if you're black or Hispanic descent. Black and brown people, don't sleep on this. And look, to all my Hispanic folks, I know y'all thinking that these Republicans was the best thing since sliced bread. They not. Y'all think because President Trump had y'all up in the White House talking about Goya black beans and all that stuff. Nah, baby, that don't. Whew. When do we get away from just accepting BS as apologies? We had so many U.S. congressmen and women, U.S. state senators, U.S. House of Representatives accepting apologies for a whole entire race. I didn't ask you to accept an apology for me. I didn't ask you to accept an apology for me. Your apology means nothing when the conditions of the black and brown race have not changed. Your apology means nothing when we still have mass incarceration of black and brown people. Your apology means nothing when we still have housing discrimination. Your housing means nothing when we still have the miseducation of the black man, woman, and child and the Hispanic children. Your apology means nothing when we still have predatory lending. Your apology means nothing when women of black color and men of black color and brown people are not being paid the same wages of white men and white women. Your apology means nothing to Dr. Michelle Williams. I promise you that. Your apology means nothing to me when the conditions of our race have not changed. The condition of the black and brown race are at a height. Poverty has reached this nation. Families are living in storage units, air conditioned storage units. Families are living in air conditioned storage units. But yet instead, people who have hopes and dreams of America being the next great thing to them, of coming out of the third world conditions of their country, they come over here only to be ostracized. Only to be ostracized. This is not America. I don't know who took over America. You know, maybe that's why they done tightened that blindfold up on her. This is why the blindfold on America has been tightened up. But I need for America to take that blindfold off and see what's going on. Because the blood that's bleeding on the people, the blood that's bleeding on the constituents, the blood that's bleeding on the residents is coming from America. Let me tell you something. Let me go ahead and take this biblical. We ain't finna go to church. We finna go to church. Okay? We finna go to church. God destroyed nations. God destroyed nations because people turned their backs on him. God destroyed nations to put people of power into their places. Let me remind you, Bible thumpers, that it was white people, Europeans, that killed Jesus. Jesus was only hung on the cross to make it look like it was like he gave up his life on the cross, like hang me here. That's not the truth. You want to know the truth? Take a trip to Rome. Y'all want to put all these stamps on your passport? Go to Rome like I did when I was 33 years old. They hung Christ on a tree. They hung him just like any black man. They hung him. That's how they hung him. And then they made the aesthetics. Because, see, white people always want to make themselves look good. Like we had to be the mercenaries. We had to be the missionaries. Because what manner of man is this that can control and cease everything? What manner of man is this? They didn't understand the power. But once you understand, black people, who you are, my kings and queens, my emperors and empresses, my princes and princesses, once you understand who you are, you will be able to take your rightful position in America. See, one thing that white people continue to do, they continue to call black people lazy. We built this country. Let's tell the truth to shame the devil. We built this country. So what you want to do, you want to continue to stigmatize and oppress our race by saying you're black, you're lazy, you're good for nothing. Because you don't know how to accept the fact that your reality and your truth is slapping you in the face now. God is a vengeful God, and God is in a season. I don't profess to be nobody higher than what God has me as, but I know some of the visions that he's seen, that he's allowed me to see. I seen the state of Florida flooding. I seen California with a hellhole opening up. And I seen fires that can't be controlled coming across California. See, wherever demonic energies and witchcraft has taken place and wherever it is the heaviest, that's where the most chaos is. Where witchcraft has been brought to life, that's where the devil, this energy, that's where he resides. Y'all better stay woke. Get yourselves together. And like my great-grandfather always said, I used to always hear that beautiful soul say,
Gotta stay woke.
get your house in order. You've been stay tuned in to another great episode of the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. Come back next Saturday, July 1st, when that permitless law come into effect. I have some special guests into my studio audience. We're going to have a few attorneys, 2 attorneys that are going to be joining me so we can really get into it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. God bless.